All right, what is this? Yesterday's, right? So I just wanted to go over it real quick because it leads really easily into today's, okay? The discriminant is what? B squared minus 4AC, okay? And we get A, B, and C from our general form of our quadratic. There's three possibilities that our discriminant can be: positive, negative, or zero. Positive, we have two real solutions because it crosses the x-axis 2 times. Negative is two imaginary solutions because it does not cross the x-axis. And if the discriminant is 0, we get one real solution, which really is really 2 because it's a double root, but it sits right on the x-axis. The vertex is right on the x-axis. Do you remember all that? Okay? And we did this example and we got this as our discriminant, so we knew I would have two real solutions. We did this example and got a negative 63, so I knew I would have two imaginary solutions. And then we did our third example down here and got a 0 as our discriminant, so I knew I would have one real solution that was a double root. Okay? Remember back, please, to the beginning of the school year, and I made a promise to you that we would very, very rarely ever have to memorize formulas, right? So we make foldables so we can look them up, right? Because in real life, when are you not going to be able to look things up? You are, right? You're almost always going to be able to look things up. Are there things that you really, really, really need to know? Yes. Well, guess what today is? Something you really, really, really need to know. Okay? Today is one of the few formulas that I'm asking you to memorize this year. Okay? And it's a very, very important formula. So far, we've talked about 4 ways to solve quadratics. Can you think of what they are? We'll list them just to make sure you remember what they are, okay? How to solve quadratics. Okay, did I give you enough time to think while I was writing? So, graphing, square roots, what'd you say? Factoring, completing the square. So when we're solving by graphing, is there times that it doesn't work? Yeah, if it doesn't cross the axis, right? When we're solving by square roots, are there times that it doesn't work? Yes, if there's an x term, right? If we're solving by factoring, is there times that it doesn't work? Yes, if something can't factor, right? If the quadratic doesn't factor. If we're solving by completing the square, are there times that it doesn't work? Yeah? It will mostly work all the time, but it gets really, really messy if there's odd numbers and if there's A's and everything like that, right? So I'm going to count that as it doesn't work because it is so messy. So wouldn't it be nice if there was a way to solve quadratics that works every single time? How often as your math teacher do I say always or never? Not very often, right? Because there's usually exceptions to rules, right? Except there is one way to solve quadratics that works every single time.
Are you going to show us?
I am going to show you. And that way is the quadratic formula. Okay? That way is the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So I wrote the quadratic formula at the same time that I sang the quadratic formula. It is. Now it's another tune, right, that we just put this to. It just happens to fit. But isn't it easier to memorize something when you have a way to memorize it? And one of the best ways to learn something is a song. It goes like this. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And now you guys get to sing it with me. Are you ready? X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. One more time. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. What's it for?
Memorization.
It doesn't do any good to know a really cool song if we don't know what it's for. What's it for?
Quadratic formula.
What about the quadratic formula? How does the song start? X equals, right? It starts X equals. So what is the quadratic formula for?
To find X.
To solve a quadratic equation. Does everybody understand that? Like I said, it doesn't do any good to know a really cool song if we don't know what it's for. Okay? So, can I do some examples for you? Do you think it's going to take a lot of examples?
No.
No, it's not. Okay? So let me do some examples for you. We'll start off with this one. 2x squared plus 3x minus 5 equals 0. 2x squared plus 3x minus 5 equals 0. So what do we want to do first? So absolutely, we do want to do that first after we make sure what's true.
It's set.
It's set equal to 0. This one is, so we don't have to worry about anything else, right? And once we know it's set equal to 0, then we want to identify our A, our B, and our C. So do I literally want you underlining 2 and writing A, and underlining 3 and writing B, and underlining -5 and writing C? Yes, absolutely. That's how we are identifying our variables. Okay? And then we're trying to solve. So we're going to say X equals negative B plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so far? Okay, so now I just have to figure everything out, right? Okay, so x equals negative 3 plus or minus. What I have underneath the root sign, hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. What is that?
B squared minus.
It does. It is the discriminant. B squared minus 4ac is part of the quadratic formula. So can we think back to yesterday just a second? Okay? Well, first of all, where is the discriminant? It's under the root sign, right? It's under the root sign. So if it's a positive number, does it make sense that I would get a positive number out of the root sign? And I would get negative b plus that number and negative b minus that number divided by whatever this is? And I would get 2 real solutions? If what is underneath the root sign is negative, would it make sense that I have 2 imaginary solutions? Because I would get a negative under here, which means I'd have to pull out an I, right? Which would mean it's 2 imaginary solutions, so it wouldn't cross the x-axis. And if what I had underneath the root sign was a 0, what's the square root of 0? 0. So I would just have negative b over 2a. Isn't that just one answer?
That's right.
Oh my goodness. It's almost like what we learned yesterday was so important. Any questions? Okay, I do have to, well, I'll tell you about that in just a second. Okay, so we're here, right? We're okay to here? So we have 9, let's see, 9 minus 4 times 2 times negative 5.
40, 30, yeah.
Well, what's 4 times 2? 8 times negative 5? Negative 40 over 4. So I have x equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of what? Because what happens right here?
Those are, it's 49.
It's 49.
Over 4.
Am I done, you think?
No,
Why not?
because you gotta keep going.
How can I keep going?
4 9 divided by 4.
Well,
Wait,
can't do that. I can simplify. How can I simplify this? Guys, don't you know the square root of 49?
7.
What is it? So x equals negative 3 plus or minus 7 over 4? Do you think I'm done now?
No.
No, okay, no, not yet. So what is negative 3 plus 7? What is 4 divided by 4? 1. What is negative 3 minus 7? Negative 10 divided by 4? Does that simplify?
2. 5 over 2.
5 over 2.
Ain't that so?
If I were to graph this quadratic, where would it cross the x-axis? 1 and negative 5 over 2. Does everybody understand that? Think back to it. What kind of number did I get under my square root? A positive number. So that means if I get a positive number, I should have 2 real solutions, right? Did I get 2 real solutions? Yes. Any questions? You good with that one? Okay. Then let's look at this one. I'm going to choose a different color. I think red's hard to see. Sorry about that. 9x squared minus 3x minus 8 equals negative 10.
Oh, it's not equal.
Uh-oh. Yeah, uh-oh, right?
F.
What do I have to do first then?
Add 10.
If I add 10 to both sides,
Then you get negative 18.
oh, try it one more time.
You get 2.
Oh, yeah.
That's all right. So 9x squared minus 3x plus 2 equals 0. Okay? Now what? A, B, being careful to underline the whole negative 3, right? And C? X equals negative B, but B is already negative 3, so when I put it in the formula, it's just a 3 plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Very good. Now, just the same as I did yesterday, what did I not write right here today? I didn't write negative 3 squared. Right? I just did negative 3 squared in my brain. Okay? Am I ever going to square something and get a negative? No. Okay? Don't worry. Don't try to always use your emotional support calculator. Right? Because unless you put the right thing in, it's going to tell you the wrong answer. Okay? So negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. X equals 3 plus or minus what? 9 minus, what's 4 times 9?
That's
36 times 2?
is
72.
72.
Over what? 18. What is 9 minus 72? A lot of negatives. 63 of them, in fact, right? A negative 63 over 18. Do you think I'm done?
No.
Are there situations where at this point I'm done?
Yes.
If there's not a negative, I might, right? If I don't know anything, if I don't know the square root of 63, and if I don't know numbers inside of 63 that I know the square root of, I might be done. Because like if this just said 7 right there, I would be finished. Because I don't know the square root of 7, right? But in this situation, am I finished? I am not. First of all, I have a negative inside. I know if nothing else, I can take the square root of negative 1, right? Okay, I need to take a quick commercial break. Okay, because something happened earlier that I need to, I guess, clarify and make sure you guys are okay with. Okay? When I take the square root of negative 1, what do I get? Okay, now why do I write it like that? So I don't think it's a 1, right? Now, so earlier someone thought I was drawing a backwards J every time I drew that. And they thought when I was saying I, that I was saying this. Do you understand? I'm not talking about your eyeballs. Okay, I'm talking about the letter I that stands for imaginary. I, not eyeballs. The letter I. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, I have to be honest. I laughed out loud a little bit when they were having me clarify that for them. Okay, so I apologize for laughing out loud at them. Right? I apologize, but it was just a little silly, you know, because I'm writing an I, and we're talking about imaginary numbers, and I said I, the imaginary unit I for imaginary. Maybe they just missed that part. I don't know. But it was a funny situation, so I don't want you to think that I was just like making fun of someone. But I honestly did laugh out loud a little bit. Okay? But everybody's okay. I'm not talking about eyeballs. Right? I'm talking about this is like a cursive I, so I don't think it's a 1. Right? Okay. All right, back to the show. Here we go. This is the same as -1 times what? 63 I agree with, but can I break it down any further? Is there something divisible into 63 that I know the square root of? 9. 9 and what? 7. Okay?
Oh, that's right.
Because I can divide it into -1, 9, and 7, in my next step, I get 3 plus or minus. Now, what is the square root of -1? I. What is the square root of 9? 3. What is the square root of 7? I don't know either. Okay? Do you think I'm finished now? So I heard some yeses and some nos. Is there a time where I could be finished now?
Yes.
Yes. Is this one of those times? No. Why am I not finished yet? What's true about all 3 of those numbers? They're all divisible by 3. What if this was a 6? Could I divide it by 3? No, that's inside of the square root jail. We can't get in there. Right? The only way we can pull numbers out of there is if we know the square root of them. That's the only way, right? Okay, so if I divide these by 3, here, another discussion that was actually a very good discussion came up here, okay? Because are there times where I don't have to put a 1? Like if I'm talking about the variable x, what exponent does it have? A 1. Do I have to write it? No. What coefficient does it have? A 1. Do I have to write it? No. So what happens here when I divide this by a 3? What do I get? A 1. Do I have to write it? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's super important that we write it this time, because if I leave it off, I have a completely different answer, right? So 1 plus or minus, do I have to write the 1 right here? No, but if you're ever confused, just write the 1, right? If you're ever confused about it, write the 1. We don't have to write it right there, because there's already another thing right there, right? The I is already there. Divided by what? 6. Now do you think I'm done?
Yes.
How do you know I'm done?
Because the 1 is
Right, I can't simplify anyway. There's no number inside right here. And I can't say 1 plus I root 7 is 1 I root 7, right? I can't combine unlike terms. So this is the answer. Now I'll tell you this. When you go to put this answer in your computer, it's going to ask you for both answers. It wants both answers separately because of the fact that the computer does not have a plus or minus button. Okay? So what is the first answer you're going to put in? 1 plus I root 7 over 6. And what's the second answer you're going to put in? 1 minus I root 7 over 6. Does everybody understand that? And that helps some people who hadn't quite got it yet really understand that there are 2 separate answers.
Yes.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about this? Okay? Before we get going on our homework, I need to make sure you know what the quadratic formula is. And so, we're going to sing it again. Ready? X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over to a